Doing a quick review here on the Quad Lock and why I like it. A lot of videos out there on it, but they just talk about the Quad Lock and they talk about getting rid of any of the RAM mounts. And the reason people are doing that is many a times I've come up onto a scene where maybe one of my buddies is doing something, something's happening, and I want to catch it on film or the camera, but I can't. Or I could, but it's a super pain in the ass to undo this rubber band here and then unlock this phone and get it out of its harness, unplug it, making sure the buttons are lined up. I had it lined up here before to where the phone was just going into a constant power cycle, because these little X's, these X grips can hit these buttons, and it's kind of a pain in the ass to line it up. So I totally get it. I've missed a lot of action shots in the past because I just didn't want to come here and undo all that, and because it was just a major pain in the neck, and I would just leave the phone there and miss the event. There it goes. See how it's power cycling? So this is a prime example of the buttons just being super hard to line up on this X grip. But don't ditch that yet, and we're going to get back to it. So now I got the Quad Lock, and I come up on a scene. I unplug my USB charging cable here, and I can just simply press on the blue tab, twist it, I'm out, boom, boom, got my video, everything's over, put it back onto the clip. Super simple, really one-handed, doesn't take two hands, all of that. Now, put the phone on the other way here. God, I hope I don't drop this thing. I continue to drop my phones making these videos. So here's how I'd normally have it plugged in. Now, Quad Lock has a couple of options for this. You can get different mounts, things like that. I chose to stay with the RAM mount, and the reason being is you're going to see, I have two different balls on just this side here. I do a lot of videoing of rides that we do, charity benefit rides, things like that. So this gives me a lot of options to what I want to add on to my bike here. Now, I'm not advocating putting a lot of shit on your bike handles and going down looking like MacGyver on a ride, but for me, sometimes it's necessary, you will have to do it. So I kept this RAM mount on there because at the end of the day, I can articulate this a lot with that RAM mount. I can adjust the height of where I'm going with something. I can go down. I can move it around, move it left, right, forward, backwards. So that arm gives me a lot of options. Also, being a 1-inch ball, I can use just about every accessory out there known to mankind on the market. I could put a cup holder on here. I could put a traditional GoPro mount on here. I could put my 360 camera because it's got a 1/4-20 screw on the bottom, so you can get a ball with a 1/4-20 screw, all of that on there. So I think you need to keep the RAM mount setup itself, or consider getting the RAM mount and this as an option because it gives you a lot of benefit. Now, the other thing that Quad Lock has is they've got a USB base to this, to where basically this would be plugged into the USB, and then I'd have to find a super short cord to plug into my phone. I didn't choose that because I didn't see any value in it, because then I'm just going to have two USB cables coming to a little block here in the back, and I believe what it does is it just goes in between this black disc, maybe here or there. I don't own it, so I can't tell you, but I just thought it would add more wires to the setup than what it was worth, the $30, so I opted not to get that. Now, they just introduced last week an anti-vibration mount that goes in between here. I did order that. It instantly went on back order. I'm hoping that will take a lot of this vibration out, because being on an arm like this phone vibrates, and it can vibrate enough to where I've seen riders get problem with their screens not displaying correctly, or they get pixelated, or they get washed out with colors because they've messed up the connections to their screen, and I don't want that. So I've got that on order. The only thing I without out using it yet, if it makes this head float, which it has to, I don't really know how that's going to go well, because you do have to put some pressure on this when you're locking that into place. So we'll see how that goes. But here's why I think you need to continue to keep this traditional Spider or X grip. You can see it's power cycling. Is what happens when you get the latest greatest phone and Quad Lock hasn't made a case for it yet. I don't know how quick they are to come to market on those things. Most people get the case down pat before it ever gets released. Or, what if you can't get that case? What are you going to do? That's useless if you don't have a case for it. I'm sorry, it just is. Or what if you break this case? You break one of these little tangs or connectors off the back here, and you can no longer mount your phone. The other thing is, more importantly, depending on where you ride, you can see this thing kind of a pain in the ass to get in there. It's not easy. You get it, I'll play with it more and get it. What happens if you're on a ride like out in Robbinsville, Tail of the Dragon? Most people think Tail of the Dragon. It's Robbinsville. And you need to go to a traditional GPS. If you don't have a case that's going to fit that GPS and lock to that quad lock, you're screwed. Whereas my case, I can actually come in here, take the quad lock phone off, and take this base off real quick by unscrewing this, putting my X grip on there because I like to look to the left, and I can have a traditional GPS. You're going to need that on some back roads. Some of these phones do not pick up GPS signals without a cellular service. You can download maps, things like that, but it is a major pain in the neck when you're out riding in the back trail. So I recommend still keeping this guy right over here. Now I'm going to adjust that. It'll power and it'll quit. Keeping that because I can put a traditional GPS in there. Or what happens if I drop my phone on a ride, but I'm the lead person and nobody else wants to lead? I can pull this X grip back out of my saddlebag, attach it to either side of my case, but to the left and most, pull that quad lock off there, and I can use somebody else's phone to get us through the event. So I think, in my opinion, your RAM mount X grip is still a very valid piece of riding gear that you want to keep. I don't think that you need to get rid of both. There's a wide view of it. Hopefully you get it there. I think so. Yep. Okay. Sorry, small screen, use a little Osmo action camera. But I think you still need to keep this. Yeah, is it a pain in the neck to take a phone off of there? Absolutely. Is it 100% secure? Absolutely. It was just last week. I had it on the left side. You can see how high that comes over the fairing. That big phone is nothing but a huge wind sail trying to be pulled off of there. And I didn't lock it down with the rubber band. I forgot. And that phone did not come off there. It's pretty solid, so it stayed on. So that X grip does work. So again, I think keeping the RAM mount on there, because you can adjust those arms, you can do certain things with it. You can see how I can maneuver this around, everything. You can imagine what I got over there with a quad lock. I can do the same thing. I can just loosen it up, move that arm anywhere I want, and do anything with it I want. So quad lock, absolute must. I love it. It's the best mount that I've ever seen. Best camera mount solution for a bike. But I still think you need the RAM mount itself, and then the articulating arm, and then mount it to the quad lock. Now, one of my buddies said, I'll just order the quad lock and then I'll get that later. You can't do that. You have to get the quad lock that has the 1-inch ball that goes into that. Because if you order this quad lock before that, you're stuck to whatever system you bought it for. The other thing, if you don't like this blue Tang lever, you can get rid of that. Ooh, see, almost lost my phone there talking. You can get rid of that. Costs you $10 more. I think it's kind of bullshit on Quad Lock's part because black on black on black on black is what everybody wants for their bikes. I just chose the blue, and the reason being is I know where it's at. I can see it easy. But if I could have got a black one for free, I would have done it. $10 more, I think, is just kind of, like I said, it's kind of bullshit, but it is what it is. Going to stop the video here, show you some other options that I think you need that are an absolute must when you do this quad lock system. Just like that, we're back. So you're going to see my phone looks a little bit different. I was on the fence of this. It was a phone poncho by Quad Lock. My phone is already waterproof. Now, I'm not an idiot. I don't throw my shit in a pool and test it. If the manufacturer says it's waterproof, then I think, in my mind, water resistant. I'm not taking it diving without protecting it. But in the case that I'm going down and I'm using this for GPS and it starts raining, and you could buy the Zumo GPS, it's waterproof and all of that, and spend $700-800, whatever they're going for. I got this poncho, and man, I am absolutely impressed. I think whether you even buy an X grip or a quad lock, need a quad lock, buy this poncho because it'll work on just about every case out there that I've tried so far that I've got for this. But it completely seals your phone. Now, this is supposed to, I think, be able to give you full use of your screen. Mine's not working, and I don't know why, and I'm going to contact Quad Lock to ask. I do have the factory phone cover on there or screen protector on there. Maybe that's why. although I have no problems without this case. But I can see it looks like it's pixelated on the inside with little DPI dots to give you the screen that you need to slide and all that, but I don't see how it works because it's so tight. But what this dude does is it seals your phone. Even my camera right there is sealed up. All of my connectors up there, my speakers, I can't even charge it with the USB because that's sealed up. Now, I can see myself buying another one. Well, it's only $20, but cutting the USB-C out to where at the end of the day, I could at least charge it. But I guess, you know, the thought is if it's raining and you need that, why would you be trying to charge at the same time? But it seals that phone up from dust. I really like this because if I'm out ATVing, riding, quadding, anything like that, I'm going to start putting this on here. It's rubber, so it adds as an extra screen protector, foam protector. I got a case on the back, now I have a case on the front. Things like that, because once you set it and record, you could just, lock it, done, you're recording, and then put the case on. But I'm really impressed with it. That's slick, man. That was a hell of an idea because it just absolutely seals up the phone and protects it. And again, even if you're not in the market to buy a quad lock, you need one of these because you're out at the beach, keep sand, dirt, debris, crap out of it. So that is the poncho, just slides on. You got to slide the top on first to get it past the batteries, and then, or not the batteries, I'm sorry, the camera on the back, and then you put the bottom on. So that's pretty slick. That's the poncho, well worth the money. Your RAM mount set up with the articulating arm, the RAM or the quad lock with the 1-inch ball, and then the quad lock phone case, and then your poncho for the top. Now, here's another reason you don't want to get rid of your RAM mount. Now, come on, don't flame me because I got, this is 4 foot into my chest here. Again, I'm using the longest arm. You never know when you're going to go down the road and you need to carry your favorite beverage. In this case, this is a peanut butter porter that I made about a month and a half ago. Not that I'm advocating drinking and driving. I'm sure some idiot's going to light me up in the comments. Go ahead. I don't care. I got thick skin and it doesn't bother me at all. But you can put that in there. Now, there is a problem with this setup, and I think this whole setup from RAM, in my opinion, is kind of a gimmicky bullshit setup. They love it. I've talked to the engineers about it. They won't change it. I've lost one of these already, and I'll tell you why here in just a second. Let me put my beer down. Is this screw that holds it on backs out of this 1-inch ball here. This 1-inch ball is really tight to the aluminum to the ball, but here it's just a screw to allow it to wobble and stay flat, or where gravity takes over and keeps the beverage upright. I don't think the setup is great because this screw has come out on me twice. I have 2 of these mounts. One of them they gave me and said, "Here, try this, it'll be better." Yeah, whatever, bullshit, it wasn't. As I took this, when I saw this screw coming loose, I took it out completely and I put JB Weld on this aluminum side and then ran the screw back in there. And it's not failed me ever since, but I told them I still don't like their design on it. I think it's kind of a crappy design. But, it is designed to hold a coffee cup. Most aren't like that. They have that, little thing here, they don't have that cut out there. What I don't know is, I guess this is for a rubber band if I was going to keep a cup in there. Just realized that when I was talking. If it's not, somebody correct me because I never knew what it was. They were just useless pieces of tab there, but I guess that's what it's for. It's to put a band on there, like maybe a hair band that girls wear or something to keep your cup in there. The other thing you can do is, and I'll get into that here in a second, is you can do, again, you got a 1-inch ball here, so you can do whatever you want. Sky's the limits. And but that is their cup holder. They've got a ton of other accessories for this. It is big enough to fit a bigger bottle, and then you can put the koozie down in there and then carry the koozie around. But again, I'm not a fan that this is super reliable, so I don't use it a lot, to be quite honest. But that is the cup holder for your favorite beverage. All right, so I switched the beverage holder out. Imagine a GoPro being right there. That's my case, or a Osmo Action, or they've got a couple of them out there. In the base, again, 1-inch ball, quarter 20 coming up, and I can screw just about any accessory on there I want. Yeah, that's a Trump sign. Don't get me if you're a liberal. I support anybody's idea, but you know, again, this gives me full control of what I want to do with this camera. I can turn it around, make it more side to side, front to back. You can put multiple arms on this. I've done that in the past, where I had to kick it up even higher onto the bike, to where you just go to a ball-to-ball mount here and then mount another one. That gives you a ton of articulation. So again, guys, ladies, I don't think, don't ditch the X mount, X grip yet. I see some value in still having a mount or a RAM mount set up. As you can see, still got my phone over there. I could take this whole rig, typically put it over here, because my phone may go on the throttle side, just because I like being able to touch over here and keep hold of the gas, and plus you need this hand for the brake in the event that you're on a hill. So typically that's where my Osmo action would be, things like that. And by doing this RAM mount, it just gives me a lot more options. So that's it in a nutshell. Any questions, any comments, want to tell me I did a terrible job, feel free to do so. If you got any other ideas or anything better, let me know. But that is it. And I've got, not only can I put this little GoPro adapter case here for my Osmo Action, I hope I don't drop this thing trying to screw it off, I have a 360 camera that can go on that as well. A little Samsung 360 that I use from time to time. And the beauty of that is people can see my speedometer. They can turn around and look at me. They can look at the sky, look at the road. It was really, really cool when we got ran off the road by somebody pulling a boat in Robbinsville, just off of one of the paths of the Tail of the Dragon. And you can see my facial expression, the oh shit moment of how I'm not going to get killed. You can see the oh shit moment from the guy not realizing he was coming over on us through a turn the opposite direction. And then you got to see my buddy that got about 2 seconds or a half a second warning before me and how he was going to deal with it. So that was the 360 in a nutshell, why I use that. But that's my setup, and the I call it X grip now, quad lock. It's a slick setup. It's worth the money. For me, it was like $70 some odd to buy in with what I got, plus the $20 for the vibration isolator that's on its way. The RAM mounts, you can look those up. They're not cheap either. I don't recommend getting a cheap mount for your phone. You're just not going to be happy. And if you spend $20 for something generic and it doesn't work, and then you have to spend $80 to get this, well, guess what? Now that costs you $100. You didn't save any money. Matter of fact, it could be worse, where I've seen people go out and they buy a cheap mount. It just doesn't work out for them. Not only do they throw it away, but worse, what happens if it falls off your bike? Then you're in a lot of trouble. That phone cost me $1,300, $1,400, and to have it fall off would just be heartbreaking. Shout out to my iPhone users. I got an iPhone that I'll ride with a lot here, because if it falls out, I really don't care. I'm an Android guy. But it's an older iPhone. I'm just kidding you, razzing. You don't want your phone falling off, because not only are you going to lose a phone, you could hurt your buddies behind you, or if you're in a ride and shit's falling off your bike, you're liable to get some unkind words from people, because that causes a lot of trouble, a lot of problems, and people don't want that. So get your shit secured, get it right. Keep your quad lock, your RAM, mounting articulating arm. Keep your X grip, it's off to the side, and get you a nice cold beverage you can put in there. Don't drink and drive. Well, you can drink and drive, you just can't drink alcohol and drive. Or you drink alcohol before you drive, or something like that. I can't remember what order it goes in. But good luck. Any questions, hit me up. Happy to answer them. And that is the quad lock and what you should get for it. Almost forgot one important thing about the quad lock is it does put a small hump on the back of your phone. It just has to get those little fingers in there to lock it on. What a lot of people complain about they don't like, and why they don't keep a quad lock case on their phone, I don't keep it on there because it's expensive and I don't want to buy a replacement, is when you're tapping, that's what you get. Sometimes you're eating a cheeseburger, you're grabbing a drink, a water, something like that, you go to answer a text. That's what you're going to hear on the table, and that's going to be annoying as hell. But it's there. There's nothing they can do to get rid of it. Not much different than these cameras. The cameras on the back of these phones being bumped out, that can cause the same thing. But I think with the camera, it's on a 3-point type of whatever to where it doesn't do this. But yeah, you'll get that shake there. So that is something important just to want everybody to know. So they don't buy it and say, oh crap, I didn't know it'd do that. But yeah, that does give you some grief there. But not a big deal if it does. You just hold the phone, do what you got to do, and deal with it.